Hey guys, I'm back with my video response to episode 239. And for those of you that actually watch these videos, the whole two of you, I do apologize for not making a video response for I guess the last three episodes that came out on the album. But yeah, congratulations to everybody's songs on that album. I mean, it was fantastic. It was really, really good. I had the pleasure of working with a few international musicians, and yeah, you know, the British are definitely coming. So, cool tracks on there, and yeah, let's get into the episode. So, I just got a bunch of random points here because there's actually a lot in that episode. First off, awesome interview that Gav did there with Billy Gibbons. That's cool. I don't really listen to ZZ Top at all, really, but he seems like a really cool, genuine guy, you know, and just his perspective on things as well is really, really amazing, you know. The way he answers questions, I like it how he sort of talks slow, because sometimes when people are in interviews, they tend to ramble on, much like I do in these videos. And yeah, it's just really refreshing that he really thought about what he was going to say and is really genuine about it. It was really cool. And that quote, like PT said, when he was like, it's meat against metal, or strings, meat, strings, or whatever it was, meat, metal, wood. I can't remember it now. With playing guitar. With your tone, that was really interesting. So, thank you very much, Gav, for doing that review. So, Back to the Future, hey, 55 or 81? I don't know. Like, it depends. That's a tough one. I wouldn't mind going back to the 80s, even though I was a baby in the 80s. But yeah, there was some bad styles, but that was, I think. Like with the 80s is when, sort of electric guitar and, getting into like a lot of effects and things like that were really starting to take off, the rise of the racks and things like that. So I think I'd go back to the 80s, although the 50s would probably be cool. But, I'm a bit of a little weed, so I probably get picked on all the time. Wouldn't be a cool jock. Anyway, let's talk about drugs, PT. Let's talk about your addiction with drugs. I know what it's like when you go to your dealer and they just want to talk your head off. Actually, here's something I'll admit. Back in my darker days, years ago now, I used to be a bit of an alcoholic. And so I'd go to the bottle shop or liquor store, whatever you want to call it, and I'd go there and buy alcohol, but I wouldn't buy a case of beer or a case of anything because I tend to drink it all in one night. But anyway, and I do remember there was this guy who was such a nerd that worked at the bottle shop. And he was really bored, so he wanted to talk to people. They just talk about random crap and rubbish. And so I go there to, get my fix. And he just kept talking to him, but I couldn't. You're right, you can't be mean to him. You can't be mean because, yeah, that's where you get your stuff from. So I have to sit there, for 10 minutes talking to this guy about rubbish. I'm like, man, I just need to get a drink, get the hell out of here. But, yeah, that was kind of funny, that reference to the, getting on with the interview. So anyways, what's next on my little list here? Pipes' tattoo, dude, yeah, the eye stack is a bit outdated, but who cares? Who cares? It's a classic now, like it's called, iPod Classic. So, then people may look at the tattoo and think, what the hell is that? But, I think it's cool. That's all that matters. And everyone from the Bliss. Happy with your amp. That's cool that you're attempting to build an amp again, because I know you had a bad experience the first time you tried to build an amplifier. But I'm going to second, third, fourth, fifth that notion that Dave and Gavin said. You have to have a multimeter, whether you think you need one or not. They are one of the most useful tools. And things like checking continuity in your guitar when your output jack's not working properly, when your volume pots are stuffing up and tone pots, things like that. Fixing your own pedals and checking your batteries to see how much power they actually have. Many uses for it. Just get a cheap one. You don't have to get a decent one. Here's mine. It's a copy of a Fluke, which you probably don't know about if you don't know anything about multimeters. It's cool. It's auto ranging. It's got a light on there. Little stand it comes with on the back, so you can put it down. You don't look at you and that sort of thing. But yeah, it's really cool, and one of the best investments I've ever made. And the same goes with pedals. especially the ones that come with really detailed instructions when you buy kits. They will tell you what voltages it should be, and you really should try to measure them, because you might get some results. You might be able to pedal it, and yeah, it works fine, but it sounds like absolute shit. And you think to yourself, why does it sound like shit? And that's because you didn't take the time to get a multimeter and measure the correct voltages. So anyways, dude, if Dave Mack forgets to bring the multimeter, just go out and get one. Get a cheap one, buy it off eBay, whatever. So anyways, yes, and do not turn that amp on without testing it. Not only will you blow up yourself, you'll probably blow up your house. So, what's next on my little list here? This is a bit more about what Pappy was saying, really. It's interesting that you talk about people throwing stuff at the band, that are throwing things at Maiden. One thing I absolutely hate is going to gigs that are under 18. So I don't like young people that much, because I think they're all dickheads anyway. Did I say that? Because I find that when you go to overage gigs, not only is there alcohol there, which makes bad bands sound good, people are more into the music, and they're a lot more serious about it. They're not just there to get really, really plowed and make idiots of themselves and throw things at the band. One of the reasons I don't go to festivals anymore is because there are a couple of big ones here in Australia. There's one called Big Day Out, which isn't really big anymore, and Soundwave, which is pretty good, but I don't like going there with the underage people. They tend to be a little bit more rowdy. They tend to throw things at the band. A good example is there was a band that I was into years ago called At the Drive-In, and I actually saw them play their own gig 2 days before they played a festival. And so I went to the festival to see them, and I was really excited. They're inside of like a small little tent, and this tent was packed. It was packed, but it was packed with all these young idiots, and they started throwing bottles at the band, and then the band walked off on their third song, and I couldn't believe it. I don't like you, Pappy. What are these people's problems? I pay good money, and I want to see the bands that I want to see. If they don't want to see, well, they can just go and piss off for all I care. Because honestly, does it really matter to them if they don't think they have good music? Just go away and find a band that you like. Don't ruin it for everybody else. And that happens a lot, especially where I'm from, with the underage gigs, people throwing things at bands. They're not even drunk, and they're acting like idiots. So, but anyway, before I could ramble on about this forever. So sorry, forever. And speaking of which, Pipes, did you ever look at that Australian vocal lesson I did? So what is next on here? That's right, support acts and bands. Now I hate how they always mess up the mix and have dodgy lighting and that for support acts. A prime example, I saw Disturbed a couple of weeks ago, and I didn't go there to see Disturbed. Disturbed are a good band, but they're not that good. They're not very, they're not that entertaining. I went there to see Trivium, which I thought was weird. You've got this really technically advanced band, proper metal band, to go see more of a commercial sort of hard rock band. Supporting a commercial hard rock band, which was kind of odd. Anyway, so I get there. It's called Acer Arena, pretty big sort of indoor stadium thing, and just got in time to see Trivium. They were the second support act, but you know what? The sound was awful. It was absolutely awful. I've seen Trivium 7 times, and they are such a good band. And the thought did cross my mind. I thought to myself, hang on a second, they're going to show up Disturbed. And you know what? They sucked because the sound was terrible. You couldn't hear most of the leads very well, and that's what the band is about. The vocal mix was all over the place. There was this weird reverb every now and then that would sort of flood it and make it sound really muddy. There'd either be too much bass or not enough bass. And yeah, it comes down to the promoters of the main band. You obviously don't want people to show you up. Well, then don't get bands that are better than your band to support you. That's what it comes down to, because some of the real fans that want to go there to see those bands are just ruining their experience. It's really sucked. And I have to say, when Disturbed came on, they weren't that good. I actually left when they were going to do their so-called encore, because all it was fancy lights and a backdrop screen. Really, the sound was better, but it wasn't that good. And Dan Donegan kept making a lot of mistakes in the guitar. But anyway, I'm not here to diss them. They did put on a show. But I do agree, it sucks when they do that to support acts. It really does suck. Speaking of which, I've seen Tomahawk as well, and I didn't like it. I did not like it one bit. Not my cup of tea. I can't even remember who they supported, actually. But anyway, that's pretty much it, guys. That's pretty much it. I'll stop talking. I've got up to about 10 minutes, but yeah, it's cool to have you guys back and do a normal episode, because that was a monster of an album. And yeah, actually at the moment, I believe Dave Mack has arrived in the USA and has met up with the Searcy. So for everyone going to Blistock, I hope you have an awesome time. Have a few drinks for me and the few of us that really wanted to go, that hang around the forum but couldn't make it. So yeah, maybe next time. Anyway, guys, I'm going to stop rambling on and having a cry here, and I'll catch you guys later.